You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. Brian White, I'm one half of this morbid equation. I'm joined by my co-host and brother, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
No, thank you for asking. I'm okay. You know, I've been sitting on this beer here for quite some time. It's a fancy beer.
It's a cool Coors 16 ouncer.
Just cracked it open. It is a farmhouse ale aged with peppers.
Huh.
Various hot peppers.
Is it spicy?
I'm about to find out. So we're gonna doing this live.
It's a beer with a Scoville units.
Well, it's an interesting aroma. Well, that is
Your face tells a story.
this is a beer that had peppers in it. Oh man, it is vegetal. Spicy. It's a spicy beer.
Does it say what kind of peppers?
I would have to look up the actual description. It had like 5 different ones. There's a habanero in there.
Okay, that's a spicy pepper.
No, they're all like hot peppers. Oh, geez. I don't know about this one. This might be a no for me, dog. I don't know.
I love that through this podcast journey, I'm becoming familiar with some of your favorite breweries. Like this one in particular, I'm like, yeah, you've busted those out before. You usually like them.
This is actually from Plan B. They're in upstate New York. I believe you're thinking of Hill Farmstead.
Hill Farmstead is the one that, because I think that's what you said when you were telling me about it.
No, they don't. You can't go wrong with them.
Okay, but they don't put peppers in their beer.
Not yet. They do put other weird shit in their beer. They just do it very well.
They put ice cream in their beer?
No, you probably don't want to put ice cream in the beer. Don't know that it.
I'm sure that there's a brewery.
Separate out pretty quickly.
I'm pretty sure there's a brewery out there that's put ice cream in the beer.
I mean, you could put I don't know if you want to put milk in beer. I think that would be kind of gross.
That seems gross.
I mean, you could put milk, sugar in beer. You do that a lot.
Yeah.
Gives it the creamy mouthfeel of ice cream or of smoothie, but without the actual dairy.
I love that you just said mouthfeel.
It's a thing. You gotta just use the right language. Hey, did you go to any of those protests yesterday?
No, I did not. I was working.
Yeah,
but I did see some of them, and they looked lively. You know, I saw a few friends, a few of our listeners on Instagram went out to their local ones, and one of the things that I was pleased to see is because I also saw footage of Donald Trump's birthday parade. You know, our specialist birthday boy,
our big boy,
our big wet birthday boy got us at a army parade for his that practically nobody came to.
Yeah,
all of the footage is just silent, and there's a crowd, but the crowd seems very puzzled by what's going on, and like you can actually hear the equipment, like tanks and stuff, just creaking by through the silence as this I believe it's a live band is doing covers, but not exactly, like just different. They're recognizable enough, but also different enough that like Eddie Van Halen's not taking them to court.
Yeah. It's prom night. No one's feeling uptight.
Right. And then without irony, the band played Fortunate Son. So it's just fucking it's just a delightful fiasco all around. And then all of the photos of Donald Trump are of him just sitting there looking fucking miserable, and all I can think is that guy hates being president. Absolutely fucking hates being president.
Absolutely. I think he also probably just hates everything. Like there's very little, nothing brings him joy.
No. Cats and Andrew Lloyd Webber brings him joy, and the Village People, you know, masculine straight guy stuff,
men's stuff, you know, stuff that real men like Ave Maria.
Yeah, telling JD Vance to shut up during "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." That brings him joy. Man.
But you know what? His misery, knowing that he is a deeply, deeply unhappy person and always has been, and has spent his entire life trying to make himself happy
and has
failed. That brings me joy.
Oh, tremendous joy.
I am very happy that he is a chronically miserable person.
Yeah.
I'm not happy that he subjects the rest of us to that, but
just knowing that the man every day is just worse than the last for that guy is so fucking delightful.
Small victories, you know?
Yep. Oh boy. Yeah. So, we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores, and the steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. There's no one else I enjoy chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at that Queer Wolf.
Oh, that's a no. That's got to be a no. Can't do it.
You can't choke it down.
No, it's harsh. It's extremely vegetal.
Oh boy, that's no good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got a backup? You got a backup over there?
I mean, I do, but
I'm gonna send you some cheer wine as a backup.
That's not better. It's just less vegetal.
No. I'm gonna turn you around on the cheer wine. Yeah. Yeah. Instagram, y'all follow us. We're doing a whole Pride thing this month. Dave has picked out a movie a day for each day of the month, and man, they are winning.
Yeah. Well, I have good taste. Like
taste.
I said,
you got
today.
Taste.
What was today's? Oh, Diabolique.
Yeah. Hell of a pick.
Vaguely lesbian picture, much like today's picture.
Yes. Yep. And if you don't know, we have another show called 99 Cent Rental where we cover all manner of video store madness. The weeks Bring Me the Axes Off. We're also doing a Pride series throughout the month over at 99 Cent. Our latest episode covering William Friedkin's Cruising is out now, and we're both feeling pretty good about that episode.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was one of our better.
Yeah. Yeah, we put a lot of work into that one, and I think it paid off. That one's out now, and we'll be back next week with a look at Killer Condom. Which I know nothing about, except that
equally serious film. It's a good movie. I think when you watch it, you'll like it. I was very surprised the first time I saw it because I was like, this movie looks like it is going to be offensive trash, and it is not.
That's good. Yeah, I'm sure that the title and all of the marketing is just the direct doing of Trauma, and that's the turnoff for us.
Well, the title is the name of the comic book.
Okay.
It's called, like Das Killer Condom or whatever. I don't know, but, it's a German.
Yeah. You can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love would like to hear us give the business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? Our latest episode is covering Miracle Man. A better episode than I was expecting it to be. I hadn't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out of the first season.
Oh, we're almost there. Just a few more
I know.
weeks.
I was doing the assets for the next couple months, and I was like, holy shit, we're almost done.
Yep. There's also our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition episode, which is a bonus episode in which we explore modern horror movie. Current episode is looking at 2014's Jamie Marks is Dead, which is also consistent with our Pride series. Do check that one out. And also, if you just want to kind of dip a toe in it, you can unlock the Millennium Edition episodes for like $3 a pop.
Fair, reasonable.
Yeah. And there's also my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield, on the weeks that Do You Think I'm Spooky is off. You can expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. The latest one is a very aggressive punk and hardcore playlist. It's all very political, suitable for the times.
Now, what inspired that?
I couldn't tell you. Just on a whim. Yeah.
A special birthday celebration.
All Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels of voice and video chat and the watch parties option. Watch movies with us on Friday night. It's fun. We have a good time. A few of us gather in the little watch parties channel and we crack wise while watching the movie that we will be covering on Monday's episode. So yeah, once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod.
Give us your money.
Do so. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'll be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah.
And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like. Leave a comment. Also, rate these episodes.
Yeah.
Do it on Apple and Spotify. Take a moment.
It's very helpful. Also, if you don't know what to say, ask some questions for like life advice. I'm pretty good at giving advice.
Yep.
Like telling people what they should do, what they shouldn't do.
Perhaps don't drink a beer steeped in peppers.
I mean, it depends. If you like a very peppery red sauce, you might like this beer. I'm just not, when it comes to the vegetal side of the spectrum, not for me.
Is there carrot beer?
Yes.
There's gotta be. Be.
I mean, I've had a decent carrot beer. I've had, Magic Hat makes like a decent beetroot beer.
Okay.
It's a good, like a cucumber sour. Pretty good. Yeah.
Sounds like it might be mild, you know?
It is. It's very light.
Yeah. Yeah. And we love hearing from you guys. Leave comments, like the episodes, just engage, you know, it goes a long way. I just want to get all that out of the way right at the top of the show. Cause, we're going black and white, putting out the fire with gasoline. No, that's the one in 82. Here's a little taste of what we're talking about tonight.
Across the centuries comes this exciting story of a modern girl cursed by an ancient legend. The legend of the cat people. Women whose kiss means death, whose love turns them into vicious, snarling beasts of prey.
Twice I've been followed by something that was not human, something that attempted to take my life. I believe that was the cat form of Irena.
Why should she wish to harm you?
Because I'm in love with her husband. It's shut now. Just a minute ago, it was open.
It's locked. Leave us, Irena.
The Cat People from RKO.
It's an RKO picture.
It's an RKO picture, don't you know?
I fucking love this.
Ooh,
a
yeah.
lot.
Oh, this movie hits the fucking spot.
Yeah, and every time I watch it, I just want to follow it up with like 6 more Val Lewton.
The last time I watched it, so I got this through I can't remember which company. They had a sale and the Criterions were on sale, and I grabbed the Criterion of this. It's 2K and it's a fucking beautiful 2K that is processed so well. Yeah. That you could fucking cut yourself on the shadows in this movie. The shadows are extremely important in this movie. Yeah, it is.
I mean, I would argue that shadows are important in every movie. I mean, they're important in life, but
and it just put me on the path after I was done with that, because this movie's quite short. You can definitely like follow it up with something else and still, you know, in the average runtime of like one modern movie. And I was in like a real Val Lewton mood after I watched that. And I was like, you know what? I'm putting on the seventh victim.
Good one.
That's my favorite one. Yeah. Yeah. So, good God.
I might do that. I might do that after we're done recording this. I might watch Bedlam. I might watch whatever one of the other ones.
Get you some Boris Karloff.
Body Snatcher, yeah. And Bedlam too, actually.
Yeah, he's in Bedlam. Oh boy, yeah. So let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about this movie. So the year was 1942. America was in the Second World War.
RKO Pictures had just opened its new horror division.
So here's some other movies that were released in 1942. The Corpse Vanishes.
Not that good.
Not good. Not very good. It's Bela Lugosi on the downslide.
Yeah.
We also had The Ghost of Frankenstein, which was Universal just wildly overplaying its hand.
If you ask me, I would say it's wonderful. I have a certain affinity for the later Frankenstein films.
We also had Universal overplaying its hand. The Mummy's Tomb came out that year.
Look, I love that one too. Not gonna lie.
I don't because I am so in love with the original core Universals and including The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which came out in the 50s, that I hate what happens to them as they as they get like, as the budgets get smaller and everything gets crappier, but like the actors are just stuck playing these fucking characters in the 40s that they were playing in the 30s, but now they're just playing to fucking matinees of children. I
believe the Mummy's Tomb is not Boris Karloff.
It's not Karloff, it's Lon Chaney. But Karloff was in The Ghost of Frankenstein.
Yep.
There's just, you could not that guy could not get away from that character. And actually, he credits Val Lewton with getting him away from that character. Also in 1942, The Boogeyman Will Get You.
That is a very long title.
I don't know jack shit about that movie. I thought the title was hilarious. No,
the boogeyman comes at midnight to take your soul.
the boogeyman with the blood-stained lips. And then there's this, rounding it out, The Mad Doctor of Market Street. Which another one I've never seen and I'd never heard of, but I looked it up because like,
who's in that?
I can't recall. Nobody.
That sounds like a Lionel Atwell movie.
It is actually. It is a Lionel Atwell movie. Yeah,
I know it.
The plot of the movie sounds like a proto version of Anthropophagus, though.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody's eating a baby in 1942, though.
Well, implied heavily.
Heavily implied. It's all shadow play. So our director is a fucking rad director, a guy who I feel like we did not get nearly enough of, but man, the movies that he is known for leave an impression. So this is
Frenchman.
This is Jacques Tourneur.
Frenchman.
Stylish in the extreme, ne plus ultra. This is not his first feature. Cat People was the movie that made him a name in Hollywood. Tourneur made 3 movies with Val Lewton, all defined by sharp contrast, mood, and symbolism. Following this, he also turned out I Walked with a Zombie, which is fucking spooky as hell.
Great movie.
Hell of a movie. And The Leopard Man. And then a few...
Not as great.
I don't think I've seen that one, actually.
It's not that good. It's sort of their, like, of the RKO cycle, it's kind of, I think, might be the last one, and it's just not very good.
And then a few years later, Turner turned out the noir with Robert Mitchum, Out of the Past, which is stylistically sort of came to define the visual aesthetic of noir films that everybody's really familiar with. And then with the rising tide of television in the 50s, he moved over to that format. Worked busily until his career declined in the 60s. His final films were for AIP. He did Comedy of Terrors and War Gods of the Deep. Yeah.
War Gods of the Deep, not a very good movie.
No, but you do get you some Vincent Price.
And
Vincent Price in a bad movie is better than no Vincent Price in a good movie.
Yeah.
And we can't really talk about Turner without Val Lewton. He is a producer. He was actually a writer who ended up promoted to RKO's horror movie division, which I did not realize was a thing, though it shouldn't surprise me.
Well, he was a writer originally. He started out writing novels. Like he did some journalism, I think. And then he wrote novels. He wrote like pulpy smut novels.
Yeah. He wrote for Weird Tales, and he was like published in like at the same time that like Edgar Rice Burroughs and H.P. Lovecraft were being published in Weird Tales.
Yeah, his novels were they're described as pornography. They're not really pornography. They're like pulp, they're pulp novels. They're sexy pulp novels.
They're bodice rippers.
Yeah, they're cheap. But they, as far as I know, I've never read any of them because they're extremely expensive. But as far as I know, they have a certain literary quality to them.
Yeah.
But
which is really, something that we're going to kind of come to. It's a sort of a core characteristic of Lewton's personality.
He's classy as hell.
Yeah.
He didn't really know what he wanted to do. Like he wanted to do it all, basically. And, obviously you can't really do that. And so his aunt and his mother were kind of big names in Hollywood at the time. They got him a job with David O. Selznick, and he worked under Selznick for like 9 years or something.
Yeah.
And so when RKO decided, Universal starts cranking out their movies, and RKO decides we can make some fucking money on this too. Let's do this shit. And so they decide they're going to open a horror division, and he's like, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. They think, and so he's like, yeah, but I can't let anybody find out about this. I don't want to like sour what I've got here. But like Selznick goes to RKO and he's like, look, y'all, you will not get anybody better than him to do this for you. And he also was not a horror guy. He wasn't particularly fond of horror. I mean, he didn't dislike it, but like, it just wasn't his bag.
It shows because the movie, like the stuff that Universal made, obviously it's all rooted in the sort of the Gothic literary tradition. Same thing with MGM's, but they turned it over to Lewton, and like you could tell this guy just didn't know jack shit about horror.
Well, he also didn't want to. He didn't want to make those movies. Like he decided, if we're going to go in and make these movies, because they didn't give him a lot of money. They were like, you're going to make, I don't know, 7 movies or whatever. And they gave him $125K for each one. He's like, this is your budget for each movie. And so he was like, I think what he said was, we've got to make B pictures, or we want to make A pictures on a B picture budget.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I can do that. And like, that was kind of his, like, he was very kind of Corman-like in that way, where he was like, I will control every aspect of this. But he got all these people that he had worked with previously. And so that's why they all work on the same movies together.
Right, yeah, because prior to this, Tourneur was like a second unit guy at MGM. Yep. Like he worked on like some pretty big stuff.
Like Gone with the Wind and shit like that. Yeah. Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of a big deal. And so he decided, he was like, I don't want to just rip off these movies, because there's kind of tiers of horror at this time. You've got your Universal's obviously top tier, and those movies are being made for like, 300,000, 500,000, $1 million sometimes. They were never going to touch those, and he didn't really want to. But the low end of the spectrum, I guess, was shit like those Lionel Atwill movies, like real kind of like the stuff
company?
You'll see.
That company, the company that made that stuff, also had a I should have wrote.
It's like
down.
Republic Pictures is one of them.
Republic. There's one PRC, but I can't remember what it stands for. But I'll have to like.
You'll see it. It's all the stuff that's in the public domain at this point. Like you see it on Tubi, you see it on fucking YouTube. Like
you can get like 100 movies on 3 DVDs, and that's all Republic Pictures.
If you can get it for free, it's probably that. That's like the bottom tier. He was like, I don't want to be that either. He's like, we're better than that. So he was sort of like, let's do something different. Because all these movies, they're very American. They all feel very American, but they also have a almost distinctly European vibe to them.
Sure.
There's something kind of Gothic about them, though they're all very obviously, they take place in the United States. They feel very American. And so he kind of carved this niche for himself. And I think it says a lot that he is a guy who is not the director. And yet we refer to these as Val Lewton movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a I can't remember who put it out, but there was a really awesome Val Lewton boxed set.
Oh, it was like MGM or, whoever bought the rights. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to have it.
Right. Cause RKO collapses eventually, I believe in the 50s, and MGM snatches up all their shit.
It was something, it was MGM or Fox or something like that. But yeah, that great Scorsese documentary is in there as well. Mm.
That documentary is also on the Cat People.
You should watch it. It's pretty awesome.
Criterion. It's awesome. You can't watch Cat People on the Criterion channel though.
Really?
Yep, it's not there.
It was on there for a while. Yeah. Must have taken it off.
Yep. So yeah, the way that this would work, and I love this because it's eventually sort of how it comes to work in Italy as well. So the studio would give him a title, and that's all they would say. They say, "Okay, you're going to make a movie called Cat People." And it's up to you to figure out what that is, but it's called Cat People. And he's like, okay, cool, Cat People.
And they're kind of playing on like the Wolfman, that type of thing, like a person transformed into an animal. That's really hot right now.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. And so he had, I think his highest budget with RKO was $150,000. That doesn't sound like much now. It wasn't much then either.
No. So he tells a story where like, well, he doesn't really, because he did write some stuff, but there's no interviews with him or anything. He was like a very modest person.
Yeah.
But there's a story he goes to the guy who wrote all these movies, DeWitt Bodine, and he was like, all right, look, the title they gave us is Cat People. He's like, if you want, you can back out now. And Bodine, to his credit, was like, fuck it, let's just do it.
Yeah. And
I'll tell you the original plot for this movie when we get there, because it is insane.
Yeah. And then the beauty of this was that as long as he and the studio was watching the rushes, obviously, but they gave him tremendous latitude to just fill in the blanks kind of any way that he wanted to. And then this movie comes out, okay, budget of like $125,000. It makes $4 million in its initial, because this movie gets re-released 10 years later. And
that is 3,500% increase.
That's just fucking crazy. So $4 million domestic. It is estimated that it made an additional $4 million internationally as well.
Yeah, and they never upped the budgets for any of them. They were like, "Oh, good, you can do it on that much money. Great, here's that much money." But what they did
was they were like, "Okay, this guy knows what he's doing," and so they just leave him alone. And he and Turner just turn out whatever the fuck they want, and it's all great.
There were times where they did push back a little bit, but every time he would fight them because he was basically like, "I'm putting my fucking name on this. I'm the one who's turning this what should be garbage into gold. So y'all can shut up and go away." And they were like, whatever, we tried.
Yeah.
Like they didn't try that hard, but they did. There was this understanding that you're just going to keep using the same people. You're going to use DeWitt Bodine. You're going to use the cinematographer is Nicholas. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Masaraka or something like that.
Yeah.
He worked on all of these movies with him. You're going to use the same music. It's a guy named Roy Webb, did mostly library stuff. Yeah. But so he's using the same people. He's using the same actors most of the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Simone appears in like several of his movies.
So basically they're like, okay, you guys kind of get it down to a science. It's a little bit. It reminds me a lot, and I was reading about him earlier today. Reminds me a lot of like the way that John Carpenter works, the way that Roger Corman, like he's like a less sleazy Roger Corman, but it's that idea of like, I can trust all of you to do exactly what I know you're good at doing. And so I can kind of take my hands off the wheel for a little bit. Not too much. He was very, not controlling, but like very actively involved. He would rewrite the scripts a lot and make them better. And he wouldn't take any credit for it, maybe because he couldn't, or I don't really know what the reason was.
I'd have to look up when the Writers Guild came up, but like we've talked about it in the past. Like in order to get a screen credit, like you have to be directly responsible for a certain percentage of what appears on the screen. And it could just be 60. That he's just punching up dialogue and shit.
I think it's like 60%, but he would like do heavy rewrites and sometimes just rewrite the entire script himself. He would like sketch his storyboards and his scripts, like the doctoring that he would do were so specific. And so that's one of the reasons why when we say this is a Val Lewton movie, it's true that this is his movie. He's not the director. But he is the one that's saying, I want it to look exactly like this. Now, you all know how to make that happen. Go do it.
Yeah.
And they would. And so like they would. So he's the one who knows, I want the lighting to look like this. I want the shadow to look like this. So he can sort of see it in his head, but he doesn't quite know how to make it happen practically. So that's why he's like, I will now turn it over to y'all who do know how to do this. And I trust that you will do it well because we know each other. We've all got each other's backs. And he would like, when the studio would be like, no, you can't do this, he would go to bat for all these people and be like, no,
like
you
a
have
few
to.
days into production on this, the studio was looking at what was coming back, and they were like, you got to get rid of this Turner guy. And he was like, fuck you.
Yeah, he was like, absolutely not. I'll get rid of you. I'll get rid of you all before I get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were all friends too. Like they sort of came to RKO together. He put this team, it was like his Avengers or his X-Men.
His A-team.
Yeah. So it's really, really, I love when people work that way. And I think you can.
I'll tell you what, it's like the best movies come out that way.
Yeah.
It is like if you just find the right people and you all work well together and you're in a groove and you know that you can just tell them like sharp shadows, high contrast, do it. And they can just do it based on your description. Fucking awesome.
I mean, and you could apply that approach to literally anything, and you'll get probably the same result. It's like the all you got to do is get good people who trust you and who you trust, and treat them well, and give them a lot of creative freedom. Basically, just like everybody trusts each other, everybody respects each other. Now go out and make a cool thing together, and don't fucking take all the credit for it because he would never do that.
No, because like the fucking like polar opposite of that, the stuff that results in movies that are typically very, very ambitious. Sometimes they come out really well. Guys like movies like Apocalypse Now and The fucking Deer Hunter and Heaven's Gate were all made by control freaks who had to have their hand on every piece of the fucking puzzle. It did not let anybody just do their thing. And sometimes a movie like Apocalypse Now comes out and it comes out great, but the others are absolute fucking disasters because the director just wouldn't shut the fuck up and let these guys do their work.
Right. Sometimes you get Apocalypse Now. Sometimes you get Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like you can get lucky doing that occasionally, but not consistently. And that's the difference between, I think, people like Coppola or whoever, the big jerk offs, and people like Val Lewton or people like John Carpenter, where it's like they are consistently turning out incredible stuff because they know how to work as a team and how to lead a team and how to not overstep and how to sort of give everybody their credit. And I think if you just do that across the board in your life, just fucking trust people and respect people, you will get a good return. This is why, like, a lot of like places where there are shitty bosses have tons of turnover. It's like nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's a life lesson. Don't be a habitual line stepper.
Mm-hmm. Be a Val Lewton.
Yeah. So unfortunately, a steady run at RKO ran short a few years later when some changes at RKO kind of left him out on the streets. His poor health caught up to him in 1951 when a heart attack laid him low. But in only 4 years, he kicked out some seriously great movies. Again, like I said, my favorite one of his, it's not his directly, obviously, but The Seventh Victim is unreal. Also, kind of gay.
It's extremely gay. It's also about Satan.
Yep, love a movie about Satan. This movie's got a little Satan in it too.
Yep. Listen, we'll do Seventh Seventh Victim next. Hell, we might even do the Seventh Seal. We're doing the Seventh Seal and the Seventh Victim for Pride next year. All right. Is the Seventh Seal gay? No, not even a little, but it's gonna be.
No. So our cast includes, as we mentioned, Simone, who's a French actress that 20th Century Fox picked up in the 30s, tried to make happen. But any sort of rise in the studio's ranks were sidelined by a combination of poor health and numerous reports of behavior on set that I guess you would call diva behavior. Yeah,
it seems like she was kind of a bit of an asshole.
Particularly on this one, like she would like deliberately pour coffee on. I can't remember the woman who plays Alice in this movie on her costumes and stuff.
Yeah, she was like constantly upstaging people. She's like showboating all the time. She just seems like she was kind of a jerk in that way that, like, she's probably internalizing those messages about like, these are your rivals, you have to crush and kill. And it's like, I guess, but also Simone, not a very good actor either. So that's probably the real reason she didn't really go that far. She has a look.
She's a very, very beautiful woman.
Yeah. And it works for this movie, but it's, that can only get you so far.
Right. When her career in America stalled, she returned to France in the late 30s, but then Germany invaded and drove her back to America, where she made this film and the sequel with Tourneur, who, lucky for her, was a native French speaker. Apparently, they would shout at each other in French. He was constantly fighting with this woman because he found her to be
very annoying.
Yeah. And when the war ended, she went back home, acted until her retirement in the 70s. I know nothing about her movies outside of this one and the sequel.
I've seen this, I've seen the sequel, and I've seen The Devil and Daniel Webster, and that's it.
Oh, really? Because that's the one she did before that. That was the one that brought her to the attention of Lewton.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. We've also got Kent Smith, a prolific star of TV and film.
Peyton Place.
That's right. This one lands real early in a career spanning 5 decades. He never reaches the heights of a leading man territory, being that even in this, a leading role, he's a pretty beige dude, representing the heteronormative baseline. But
yeah, he is basically like, do you need someone who just oozes Republican? He's your guy.
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, like I read like that part, like the personal life section of his fucking profile. I was like, you would have loved Donald Trump.
Yeah. He's just like, I am a white man who likes being man and doing man things, like talking down to women.
Yeah. But yeah, he does end up in some really high quality shit going forward. He appears in The Spiral Staircase, which we should seriously consider for future black and white episodes.
Yeah.
He's got a part in the Kolchak TV movie, The Night Stalker.
He does indeed.
Yeah. He did a bunch of Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
He's a good looking guy. Like he's just, when you need like that solid, good classic American dude.
Strong jaw.
Yeah. He's probably your dude.
Oh yeah. And I forgot to mention, Jacques Tourneur did some Twilight Zone.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Some real bad ones though.
Yeah. That's not his fault.
Rounding out our cast, we got Tom Conway,
who is in like all of these fucking movies.
Yeah. He's an English actor with a real roller coaster of a career. His debonair vibe landed him in a lot of roles as suave men of reason and action, first carving out a name for himself as the Falcon, taking over the role from his own brother when he tired of playing the character in the continued sequels. Those were like B-movie detective.
Yeah,
flicks.
they're not very
and they're
good.
not very interesting. Lewton picked him up.
He's the narrator of Peter Pan. That's probably what most people would recognize.
Yeah. Lewton picked him up after his contract with MGM came to an end, and RKO picked him up, featuring him as Dr. Louis Judd in both Cat People movies, and also the totally unrelated movie The Seventh Victim, when he plays the same character again.
Yep.
He remained a busybody actor into the 60s, TV, stage, and film. The guy his fucking credits list is humongous. But his life was cut, unfortunately, short due to a particular enthusiasm for booze, which outpaced his liver's ability to function.
Well, who among us, though?
This is, like everybody be dying of like liver failure in the fucking 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Just cool it, you guys. But
I mean, it's better than like in the 20s when they were like drinking morphine and fucking
everybody's just juicing out on Dilaudid.
and like killing each other.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. But we got some taglines here. And these are real 1942 taglines.
There's also a lot of taglines for this movie.
I picked 3 because I could only find 3 of them on posters consistently.
Oh, I've got 6.
Yeah. I left a few of them out just because I could not match them up to posters. So here's one. This is great. I fucking love these. This is the high age of just the alluring poster tagline. Here's one. Mm-hmm. She was marked with the curse of those who slink in court and kill by night.
Talking about ladies.
Yeah.
Ladies. That's a reference to.
Yeah. Ladies be slinking and courting and killing by night.
Like they do.
Yep. Here's another one. This is a fucking fantastic one. To kiss her meant death by her own fangs and claws.
That's pretty. I'm going to have that on my headstone.
Fucking A. And lastly, around this one now. Here's the last one. This is a great one. Lovely woman, giant killer cat, the same person. It's super sensational.
And person is in quotes.
That's right.
What I love about this movie is they can't quite decide what this animal is. It's a leopard. It's a panther. It's a cat.
Yeah. The Universal brand of horror movies. So we've done a bunch of stuff, and I think I mistakenly called this a pre-code movie, and some of the run up to sort of hyping this one. It's not pre-code. This is in the 40s.
Nope, still pretty gay though.
But the Universal brand of horror movies were so popular and sweeping in the 30s that it spurred competing movie studios to launch their own brand of gothic horrors, which is evident in Paramount's cash in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you're nasty.
You're British.
Which I'll go back and listen to that episode of ours. That's another one I enjoyed quite a bit last year. But it took no time for the horror wave of the 30s to kind of sour. Like that really, the best movies happened between 31 and 35, really.
Yeah.
And then they start to devote less and less money to them.
The first run of those, like the big IP, and then there's like other second tier stuff. Yeah. It's pretty good. A lot of it's pretty good, but like it's pretty standard.
Yeah. Before the decade was over, the same studios established their own horror production divisions, but the studio and the public's attitude towards their highest earning features. That's the thing that we constantly keep fucking going back to when we find out we do this movie history bits. The studio was ashamed of making these movies, which always turned out to be the ones that brought in the most money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they appeal to a large audience, and they especially appeal to young people who probably were willing to spend more money on films than their parents were.
Yeah. So this meant that even as the movies raked in big money, the studios insisted on devoting smaller and smaller budgets to them until a proper feature like Frankenstein devolved into Son of Frankenstein and then the Ghost of Frankenstein.
Hey, look, I love those movies. All right.
I do not begrudge you this. I love me some garbage as well.
I mean, as things go, I would hardly call them garbage. They're just not as good. They're a little silly.
If you were to watch like each one of them, if you were to watch Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, one after the other, you would notice it's a noticeable decline in quality.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's the same thing. It's like when they put out Barbie, and Barbie did really, really well. And so the studio, it was like, oh my God, more toy movies. And it's like, wait, how is that the message you get?
Yeah,
like, What people want is original stories. They want exciting movies. They want things that resonate. And the studio their answer is always, oh, so you just want more of the same thing that looks like that, but isn't as good, right?
Did you happen to watch The Studio, the Seth Rogen show?
No.
It's essentially it's The Player, but it's a humongous spoof of the Hollywood machine where he kind of finds himself elevated to executive producer status, and he's given the task of, and he's like a movie guy, like a big movie fan, because Seth Rogen's a big movie fan. It's kind of sort of a Ramona Clef kind of thing that he's doing, and but he's like, oh shit, I'm an executive now. I can like green light my own movies and I can really get some quality shit done. Like he wants to go back to like this, like the 70s type thing where people are making like fucking movies. But the first project that he's fucking tasked with making is a movie based on Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I mean, it's that. It's that. It's like they always get the wrong message. Like everybody wants more of the same thing. And it's like, no, you fucking idiots. Like, Just listen for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, Sinners is just the proof of that. Like people want original shit.
Well, that's the thing about Sinners is they were like immediately like, let's do a sequel. And Ryan Coogler was like, no, I don't want to do a sequel. And he was like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not doing it though. And they were like, well, we're going to do a sequel. And everybody was like, why can't you just make other movies that are original and fun and exciting?
It's because money people are at the top and creative people are at the bottom, and never the twain shall meet.
Risk mitigation is the name of the game, but it's like you gotta roll the dice on some shit. Like that's why you give someone like Val Lewton a chance, and if they turn out good stuff, and they're like, I guess I can just walk away, and you'll do what you do.
Yeah. So in this milieu, marquee features like Dracula dwindled away until they were B movies on matinee bills meant for children, along with some serial adventures and cartoons. So RKO and also other studios at the time realized that horror still did business, and they adjusted their models. And as we mentioned, as long as producers stuck to the budget, delivered script on the theme dictated by the title, they could do whatever they want. Along came Val Lewton to fill that spot. And we've talked about that elsewhere in other episodes as well. Like Nikatsu in Japan was like that, where they were like, just make a porno movie that has these three things in it, and you can do whatever the fuck else you want. And
they were like, hey, can I make it extremely weird? And they were like, sure.
Yeah. And all of these like art film directors came along who just made the weirdest, most psychosexual, psychedelic porno movies you've ever seen. They are fucking crazy. Roger Corman, also famous for this, where he was like, I don't give a shit. There just needs to be nudity, a car crash, and some explosions, and come in under $100,000. That's all you got to do. And then like fucking, here comes Ron Howard to fully take advantage of that.
Little Ronnie Howard.
Opie Cunningham. So Lewton pulls his crew together with everybody they worked while at MGM. Studio was expecting something cheap and stupid. Universal's horrors were garbage at the time, and the audience was mostly kids, but Lewton insisted on working on something subtle and smart. And with the exception of some fairly overt scenes at the insistence of the studio, for instance, the leopard in the drafting room.
Yeah, they were like super. That was the one place he did sort of have to cave. They were like, no, we want more spookums. Like we got to get the leopard in there, or the panther, whatever the fucking thing is. Get that in there more. And he was like, God, man, come on. Like, it's way scarier when you can't really see it. So he was like, all right, I'll put the leopard in there more. And then he does, but he puts it in the shadows almost all the time.
Yep.
I mean, it was also probably, just from a practical standpoint, it was probably way easier to work with this thing when it's in a cage.
Yeah.
Since it seems
also
very upset.
The scenes, the shots that we do have of the leopard sort of slinking around the drafting room, very obviously pickup shots that were like reshoots afterwards. Like they turned in the scene as scripted, where it's just like shadows moving on the walls and the growling of a cat. The studio was like, fuck that, give us a cat. And they were like, God damn it, fine.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, they were working, two crews were working opposite each other. So, the main crew was, they're doing the movie during the day, and then like the second unit comes in and all through the night is shooting all these like exterior stuff and like the cat stuff. Like that's just, they're round the clock filming this movie to get it done.
Yeah.
to have it out in time by Christmas. It was released on Christmas Day.
I love it. Yeah. And so, but for the most part, he delivered on his vision. The studio, however, disagreed, feeling that it was way too subtle. And this is a movie that is pretty fucking subtle.
Yeah.
But the box office then came in and they were like, you're a fucking genius. Here's more projects. Here's more titles for you to interpret.
Yes.
Also, all the costumes in this movie are by a woman named Renier. I love a mononym.
Yeah. There were a lot of costumiers were mononymic.
Yeah. Also, if you've ever seen a movie or a TV show, this was a detail that I was very pleased with finding out, because as soon as they described it, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know there was a name for that. But if you've ever seen a movie or a TV show that goes out of its way to build tension on the way to a scare, only to reveal something innocuous, say a character who sees shadows and hears sounds, fear building by the second, only to open the door and reveal a tiny little cat as the culprit. This is the creation of Lewton, and it's something people still do to this day, and it is called the Lewton bus. I love it. I love it.
It's because his vision of horror was that the scariest things are the things you conjure in your head. It's not what you see on the screen. It's kind of what you don't see on the screen. It's the notes she's not playing.
I could do that from home.
And so, yeah, it was like, and the rest of them kind of understood that as well. Like Tourneur's understanding of the character of Irena in particular, he saw her as someone who was sort of moving between darkness and light, this character that sort of lives on the edges and the fringes of everything. It can sort of pass through one world that makes her sort of sexy and slinky. And so that all the stuff you're seeing is all implied. It's all kind of half seen. It's out of the corner of your eye. It's the idea that like nothing we can do with $100,000 is going to be all that scary, but we can sort of give you enough prompts that you can do, like fill in the rest for yourself.
Oh yeah, and he was fully
scary.
aware of the limitations of his budget. Like I think the studio was expecting a person in like a fucking cat suit or something like that, like
Probably.
leaping around and like, you know, clawing people to death. But they instead get this one where it's just kind of suggested very heavily that Irena is turning into a cat when her emotions get the best of her, you know? And it works best.
It's not even like, it's very, very subtle in that like you don't really know until the end that is what's happening. And even that sort of feels like a little bit of a concession.
Yeah.
Because the movie in a lot of ways is metaphorical, and it's metaphorical on purpose. Like they all knew what they were doing.
Do you think so? Because I do want to bring that.
No, they do.
I want to kind of bring that around, like bring this into focus. Why are we doing this for Pride? Because this is not an explicitly gay movie. It's the interpretation is very much there. And I've read some of that analysis, and it made me wonder, like, is this just something people picked up on and have sort of kind of adapted an analysis to, or was this the intention?
Both.
Because this is a movie about how the hoes be scared of penises.
Yep. So y'all might have noticed when it comes to queerness in films, I am more interested in older movies. I'm more interested in the movies that had to do a lot of heavy lifting with subtlety and, like a backwards glance. Mostly because I just think that shit's more interesting.
I'm right there with you. I mean, when you had to kind of work in the margins to get your message through.
I love a big gay movie, but like at the end of the day, all the movies I grew up watching were not that because they couldn't be that. And so it's fine to see them, I like them, but not interested in picking them apart.
This one snuck around the Hays Code so deftly is, it's like, it's like a spy, like a thief in the night.
So this movie is really about compulsory heterosexuality. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes.
Okay. For those who are not, the idea of compulsory heterosexuality is that people, but mostly in sort of Western culture, are raised with a social structure that is like women marry men, and that's the way of the world, and men marry women, and so it never really even occurs to a lot of people that there could be another option if they were even interested in that. And so a lot of people live their lives as though like if I'm a woman, I have to grow up and then I marry a man. And, I just assume that this is just sort of life and nobody's that excited by anything. And, you have sex with your husband and you're not really that into it, but like what woman really is anyway? It's just this idea that like, it's a disappointment all around for everybody when the reality is like, no, it's just that you're not interested in men.
Right. And what I find most interesting about this particular period, because like there are like, and it's again, you get it in Dracula's Daughter, you get it in The Seventh Victim. They're not movies about gay men. They're movies about gay women.
That is on purpose as well.
And you do not see, that's something that I feel is kind of left out of a lot of sort of modern queer cinema, where the focus is very often placed on the relationships of men in sort of the more modern stuff. Yeah. But back then in the black and white age, every lady be gay, but secretly.
Well, I think the reason for that is that men are usually in charge of all this stuff. And I think when it comes to women, they can't conceive of what a lesbian relationship is because men are not really in charge. Like that's
I can't remember which one we did that I was commenting on this, but there's also a sort of very subtle threat of basically of female agency. It's a woman who has no need of a man. That is terrifying to
I think that's the ultimate threat to men.
Yeah, still to this day. But ultimately, like, that's kind of like the seed of this horror. Ultimately, is like, here's a woman who's just going to do her own thing, and she loves women, and she's got no need for a dude.
Well, and that's kind of the idea behind the actual idea behind feminism is this idea that a woman could conceive of herself and embrace her own identity as something distinctly separate from men. So it's not just like, I can understand myself as an autonomous person. It's like, I can understand myself as not needing men of my life, but just being unrelated to them. I am a whole person in and of myself. And for men, that's terrifying because that's the last thing. Like I think when men are afraid, the thing that a lot of men are afraid of is that they have no real purpose. They're not needed for anything because they genuinely, I think a lot of men really rely on women for a lot and they do a lot of the work, but they kind of create this bravado in order to compensate for that fear. And the reality is like, if they don't need them for sex or companionship, then they don't need them at all. And then in that case, men are useless. They really serve no function. They have no social function because, they don't do anything domestically. Women and children can fill in all those gaps. So it's like, well, then what the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
And so the reason why in his case, a lot of these revolve around women is that he never knew his father. He didn't even know how to pronounce his father's real last name.
Oh, shit.
Because his mother, they grew up in Yalta.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And they left when they were very young. His mother took them, him and
they got out before the revolution.
Yeah. And so his father stays behind and he doesn't really know anything about him. And so he grows up with his aunt and his mother. Both of them are huge figures in his life. And his aunt is I'm not going to say openly gay, but it was sort of Curtis Harrington,
Sure.
Pretty much everyone knew. And she was very influential. Like she was a huge star in the silent era. She's how he gets into movies. She recommends him to Selznick. And she was like, give him a shot. And he does. And, the rest is history. But that's why he's kind of drawn to women's stories, is because women were huge figures in his life. And in a way that I think is generally respectful and admiring in as much as one could at the time. So he grows up with this very close relationship with his lesbian aunt. And that, I think, gives him a different perspective. And you can see
all right.
He also kind of instinctively understands, probably from all of that like there's so much more going on with regard to gender and with regard to sexuality. And that if you're making a movie that is, supposed to be kind of a psychological thriller or a drama of some kind, there's a lot to be mined there. And so he comes to it with this. And as long as you can do it with sort of a stealth and creativity, then, no one's going to really pick up on what's going on, other than people who might all otherwise recognize the signs. Because some of the shit is very heavily coded. And so he comes at these movies in that way that they're not stereotypes, but he presents in this movie in particular, Irena is portrayed as this woman who gets married and she's sort of frigid. with her husband.
Right.
But she is inexplicably drawn to some other thing, some kind of darkness or something that really frightens her that she cannot even really speak of or explore, because to do so would only draw her sort of deeper into the darkness.
Oh, I love that.
And then that's what you see with the scene with this woman from her homeland.
Right.
Right. We're to assume is that she's, drawn to, but terrified of this very glamorous, very stunning woman who sort of refers to her. She calls her sister.
Right.
Which, if you were a lesbian in the theater, that would have been probably the most exciting moment of your life, because that you would have noticed that. You would have picked that up as a reference, like as a coded reference to she is like you. She is a lesbian. But he also understands, like, he's not an idiot, obviously. So he understands that these things make people seem, if they're going to be open about it, they're outcast. If they're struggling with it, like Irena is in the movie, she's sort of odd. And then that's the way they talk about her. In a normative culture, she's odd because she doesn't seem to want to be with. She does, but she doesn't want to be with her husband.
She does because she feels like that's what you do.
Right. Like it fulfills some sort of need for her socially, but ultimately it is very unsatisfying. And she is afraid of what happens if she keeps going deeper and deeper, because she really can't, she can't really get into it.
No.
And eventually people they're going to pick up on that.
There's tons. Yeah. I'll save it for when we talk about the movie. But like, there's the symbol of the cage and the key and
the sword is another one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot about that he understood is like, this is a struggle that people really, they live with. And I think one of the things that makes this movie stand out so much, and that I think is done extremely well, is that it portrays this struggle in a very sympathetic way. You see this woman who is she is literally dying because she can't fulfill this thing that would make her normal. And in doing that, it just makes her seem weird to everybody. And everybody around her can see it. And that's kind of one of those things, like, if anybody's ever been closeted, you understand probably post-closet. Like at the time, you think you're being real stealthy. You think nobody's going to notice. And maybe that's true for the most part. But there are people that do notice. And maybe they're just kind of like, okay, we're still doing this, I guess. Still going on with this. But even DeWitt Bodine understood, like, this is what Lewton is driving at. This is why he wants me to include this stuff. And so he knew that you can read this as a lesbian story. And he kind of liked that. Like, for him, he thought it was like, oh, it adds to the mystery. It's exciting. It's very dramatic. And, well, whatever. He's maybe a little less sympathetic to everybody. Who knows? He wasn't being cruel about it. For him, it served a different purpose than it did for Lewton. But when the movie came out, a lot of people said to both Bodine and to Lewton that they were like, thank you for doing this. This is such a bold way of, like, a bold step in filmmaking. Like, Lewton got tons of letters from women that was like, thank you so much for putting this on the screen. And, because when it comes to queer movies, we all want to see this sort of like, I don't know about everybody, but most people, they're like, we want to see the big, glorious, happy ending and all this stuff. But part of seeing ourselves on screen is seeing our experiences, however awkward and coded they might have to be. And I think for a lot of women, queer women, seeing this movie, then they're seeing this conflict unfold.
I was going to say, there's probably something very affirming in seeing the struggle represented.
Yeah, because the biggest fear that everybody has is like, I'm bad, I'm wicked, I'm crazy, I'm awful and sinful, and on and on and on. And when you see this, you see, oh, no, this is somebody else that's going through the exact same thing, especially back then. I mean, even, until relatively recently, there was so much isolation that when you don't see it, you're only left with your own thoughts and whatever the culture has told you.
Sure.
Culture has told you terrible shit about yourself.
Yeah.
And
so it's one of the reasons, like, why the in the sort of the kind of nascent days of social media, that the representation matters became a real sort of touchstone of early social media.
Right.
People just loved seeing that. And then now having a forum to also find other people who found validation in that representation. Like, it was deeply empowering in a way that sort of changed the way that movies and TV are made now.
Yeah. And all that is just seeing like you're not alone. And the thing that you're experiencing is almost identical to the thing that everyone else is experiencing. Because in that, you can then look at that and be like, oh, well, then maybe I'm not weird.
Yeah.
Maybe and that's the weapon that, the Christian right has. That's the weapon that all these conservative people have, is that in keeping that people isolated, they can continue to use this as a weapon against you and say, no, you're terrible, you have to change. It's only when you start to see that other people have experienced the exact same thing. It's like, well, then I can't be that weird if all these other people have also experienced this. So maybe they're wrong about me. P.S. They're absolutely wrong about you all the time. And then, in as we kind of move along in culture, it opens up to other people who might not fit into those same categories, but like maybe they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I do want to explore a different presentation of gender briefly or whatever, forever, who knows? But like it allows people to see that they're not weird. And I think that that's really what he did with this movie, and he did it intentionally. And it didn't offend people, like the people who didn't know were none the wiser.
Oh,
so
sure.
fuck 'em,
And,
who cares?
like the average theater goer went and they saw a movie about a lady who turns into a cat when she gets horny.
Yeah, and that's not that, like unlike something like what the fuck, the house, Old Dark House.
Yeah.
Where if you watch the Old Dark House, everybody in the audience can look at what is it, Roderick Femme? See the one?
Yeah.
And you can just be like, oh, well, he's obviously gay.
Right.
Like you can pick up on that because James Whale was like, fuck you guys, I'm doing whatever I want. I'm making this one a big old sissy and you're gonna like it. But like in this, if you don't know any better, you're not going to notice. So it really matters for all the people to whom it should be important, and to the ones that aren't going to get it, doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yep.
They don't even notice. And then, so because they end up being successful with that in this, they include it in other movies. Because he was like, oh, I'm going to just keep kind of doing this nod to this woman who was so influential and important to me. And this is a thing I know that was hard for her. And it's like, what a fucking story, man. And like, this is just a dude, like, middle-aged guy who's working in Hollywood. He's probably very masculine, whatever. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this my way.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm going to be a decent person.
I love a nonconformist, a confrontational nonconformist.
And that is absolutely, he wasn't really that confrontational, but he was a nonconformist in a way that he was like, I'm going to do it my way. If you don't want it, I'll go do it somewhere else, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So this is, I think, a very, very queer movie. And you can see it in the story. This is just a woman who's not fitting what everyone keeps telling her that she should fit.
Oh, and yeah. Her entire struggle is like, I should be fitting into this, this mold. Like we get a model for the sort of modern heteronormative world in this movie, and that her repeated attempts to fit into, just force herself into this mold is literally killing her.
Yeah. And whenever, she's not successful at doing that, nobody says, hey, do you think maybe that this relationship probably just isn't right for you? The answer they put forth is, well, you're obviously crazy and we're going to have to lock you up.
Right. Right. Because you could get put away for being gay back then. It was Absolutely. In the DSM.
I mean, hey, if things keep going the way they're going, that could be the future too.
Right. The future is in the past.
That's right.
Oh, boy. So just one last note here. This movie, in case you didn't know, was remade in 1982 by Paul Schrader, of all people.
Very sexy film.
Very sexy. That one, not so much notes of gayness. That one's got a lot of incest in it.
Yeah, I do not care for that film.
I don't like it either. I think it's really boring.
I think they're trying to do like a Hunger ripoff, and it just sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's got Nastasia Kinski in it and Malcolm McDowell, who is super horny in it.
Yeah.
Did you know early drafts of that script were written by Bob Clark?
Weird.
Yeah.
I bet it was good.
Yeah, he did. He doesn't get a writing credit on it, so obviously they didn't use any of his shit.
Oh, I never told you what the original plot for this movie was.
Hit me.
So apparently the original plot was that it was a small, village, some Balkan village. And one night, this like Nazi panzer division rolls into the village and they're going to take over. And they're kind of surprised, like, why aren't any of the village people fighting back against us because they're like, oh, okay, you can just roll over, I guess. And then it's because at night, out comes the cat people.
Oh,
who, like,
shit.
Viciously rip them all apart. And then
I want to see this movie now.
I know. And then it like hard cuts to, Irena going to New York, and she brings that curse with her, and then the story kind of unfolds.
Oh, fuck, that's fantastic.
But they replace all this probably because it's 1942, and they were like, it's a little topical. Maybe we should just hold off a couple of years before we start doing that.
God damn.
So they just switch it to this kind of like ancient,
which is wild because we were like 1942. Particularly by this point, we are firmly 1 year into America's involvement in World War II.
Yeah, that's probably why there is a
concerted propaganda effort to get people on board with this shit. So,
killer cat people would have been awesome. But we all love this movie. But
I heard it was a mixed bag in terms of the press, but also when they re-released it, the same people who reviewed it poorly went back and watched it and rewrote their reviews.
Well, I'm going to tell you one person who didn't.
Okay.
Bosley Crowther. Bosley Crowther had things to say.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. Quote, ladies who have such temptations should exercise their digits a bit more freely than does Simone Simon.
Wait, what? What you saying there, Bosley Crowther?
In this film, the cat people is a labored and obvious attempt to induce shock, and Miss Simone's cuddly little tabby would barely frighten a mouse under a chair.
Huh.
Bosley Crowther. I'm Bosley Crowther. I'm here to be a ninny.
I get, you know what? I imagine his voice to be like the yes guy from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yes.
I had a stroke. I don't think I've ever read a review of his where he liked the movie, but he did not like this movie.
What the fuck is he talking about? Like, she's
his
far too pretty to be threatening.
So I think the problem, because this is going to be consistent through all the reviews, there actually aren't that many reviews. Hard to find, contemporary reviews.
Yeah.
But the problem is people went in expecting a universal horror movie. They expected someone in a cat suit jumping around, swiping their, claws at everybody.
Okay.
And when they didn't see that, they were like, what the fuck is this? Was this some lesbian who's upset with her husband? So this one's my favorite. This is Edwin Schallert from the Los Angeles Times. Cat people, per all advance heraldings, is supposed to be some pumpkins as a thriller. That's right, pumpkins. Punkins.
What is that?
I think it's slang.
Like pumpkins? But pumpkins?
No, I guess?
Huh.
I don't know. He's like, this is supposed to be a real fucking banger. But for my money, whatever that may amount to, it isn't a breeze, let alone a shiver. The picture lacks the quality of being full-fledged in its unfoldment because the plot, after all is said and done, is rather thin. Furthermore, the ending is an anticlimax. I do think the ending's a bit of a meh.
Yeah.
But again, it's this idea of like, where's the horror? It's like, use your fucking imagination.
No shit. No shit. You know what it is everybody been so spoiled for like 10 years. The last movie's got Bela Lugosi going around with fucking Kate pulled up over his face. Got Lon Chaney Jr. in a sweet monster get up. You get Frederick March doing an amazing on-screen transformation. You get Boris Karloff, obviously, in several heavy makeup movies.
Just Karloffing all over everything.
You get Lon Chaney Senior's 20s stuff. And now here comes this movie that has none of that shit and has the balls to be like, okay, just imagine what's going on.
And everyone's like, this feels real French to me. Finally, Moira Wallace from the San Francisco Examiner. Perhaps this fantastic tale could have been arranged to achieve the eerie credibility of Dracula, but Simone Simon seems by nature to be more kitten than werewolf. The everyday atmosphere of Kent Smith's drafting room makes the presence of a Black Panther more incongruous than sinister, and its disappearance before the cross-shaped shadow of his T-square is a bit artless. I do agree that there are moments in this movie where you can tell exactly what the studio said they wanted.
Right.
And that's one of them. Yeah, everybody's sort of complaining. And I will say, I have occasionally been criticized as not appreciating subtlety and vagary or ambiguity.
Yeah.
And usually that is because I don't think that what people think is ambiguity is ambiguity. I think it's bad writing.
Sure.
This is ambiguity.
They also
and it is
keep
done
commenting
expertly.
on Simone because she's just too pretty to be threatening. And it's like, you fucking morons, that's the whole thing.
Right.
Because in the movie, like, she's extremely alluring, she's petite, she has a prettiness.
She plays it a
about-
little coy that I think maybe it's a little grating sometimes where she does do sort of like a little cutesy thing.
Yeah, like there's a
But that's
prettiness
also
about
kind of
her
the
that is
point.
very disarming. And that's the whole fucking point, because she's going to transform into a killer.
And she's really cool with that. She is one. I will tell you this right now. Irena is 100% the victim in this movie. Everybody else is the fucking villain.
Yeah, this is like that Frankenstein shit.
Yeah, the doctor, straight up rapist.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, there was that moment where he's like, I could kiss you and turn you straight.
Hate it.
Nope.
Don't like it at all. It's a
Nope.
really yuckaroo moment.
I mean, that's obviously not what he says, but that's what's implied.
That is what is implied. Yeah.
So shall we?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we open on a title card, which sets the tone. Even as fog continues to lie in the valleys, so does ancient sin cling to the low places, the depressions in the world consciousness. From The Anatomy of Atavism by Dr. Lewis Judd.
I'm going to say it is a bold move to open with a quote from a character we have not yet met.
I was like, The Anatomy of Atavism, is that a book I should know? And so I went down a little Google path and I was like, nope, it's made up entirely for this movie. Mm-hmm. It's presented in a way as though you're supposed to like maybe recognize it.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make any sense, because it's like, here's a quote out of context from a thing that doesn't exist.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
I know. So we cut to the zoo. A woman sketches a leopard, which paces in its cage. Unhappy with her drawing, she just throws it at the trash, but misses.
Fucking just chucking paper.
And she
First of
keeps
all,
doing that.
keeping this panther in the cage, very upsetting.
Apparently,
Don't like
back
it
in
at
the
all.
day, people did just used to do that shit.
Well, you
Like,
gotta
like
give 'em-
the
gotta give 'em something.
anti-littering campaign of the 70s was very necessary.
Yeah. So she's just fucking chucking paper on the thing. And then, they cut over, and here's the handsome Republican Oliver,
Yep.
who's, I don't know, getting a hot dog or some shit. And he picks it up and throws it in the trash. And he's just like, hey, quit throwing your fucking garbage on the ground, lady.
Yeah,
and then she's just like, oh, tee-hee, sorry. And somehow that endears her to him. That
Yeah,
she's just throwing garbage on the ground.
He points to the world's most obtuse no littering sign. It reads,
I mean, it gives you the message.
it leads, let no one say, and say it to your shame, that all was beauty here until you came.
Now, see, remember when there was an America where you could actually be kind of subtle and cute?
No, nowadays you got to have a thing where it's like a hand putting like rubbish in the garbage.
Yeah, be like, hey, you fucking dumpster fire. Don't do that.
Yeah, you're messing up our beautiful Central Park Zoo here.
So then he kind of like wanders over, sidles up to her. He's flirting with her, doing what men and women do, I assume, in the 40s. And now, who knows? Yeah. And she's drawing and sketching, and then she rips the page out and just fucking chucks it on the ground again. And it's like, bitch.
It's like, lady, what are you doing? I mean, it keeps the zookeeper busy, because all that dude seems to do is pick up after everybody.
Yeah, I got problems with the zookeeper too.
So his pickup move is to tell her that he's met an artist, but she's not an artist though. She's sketching for fashion drawings and just keeps throwing shit on the ground.
Yeah, weird ass fashion drawing. She draws a giant panther with a knife through it.
And then they leave together and chat. She is Irena Dubrovna, Serbian, not Russian.
Just so everybody's clear on that, because I think they were still the bad guys.
That had to be like I don't know. That had to be like a local thing, because when I went to Hollywood Forever, the big cemetery in Los Angeles, everybody knows Hollywood Forever because like that's where all of like the really elaborate
Where the famous people
stars.
are buried.
Johnny Ramone's got a big Johnny Ramone statue there. Like Burt Reynolds has a ridiculous Burt Reynolds one, and like that. But there is a whole other side to Hollywood Forever, which is like actually like 2/3 of the entire cemetery. It's where Estelle Getty is buried, and it's all Russian Jewish monuments. And so like there was a very, very large Russian Jewish population in Los Angeles.
Don't you have like that requires very different burial rites though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to pretend to know how that works. I'm just pretty sure it's different.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, the consecration is just an entirely different ritual, but yeah. Yeah. Which is probably why they keep the two parts of them very distinctly separate. But yeah, anyways, he introduces himself. He is Oliver, not the Eagle Reed.
No.
Definitely doesn't have an eagle tattooed on his penis. Maybe. I don't know. This guy's a Republican.
Ronald Reagan, maybe.
Yeah. And he would like to have tea with her.
And that's not a euphemism. He just wants to have tea.
Tea. She's flirty, playing hard to get. When they get to her place, she invites him in for tea. You scamp.
She's coy.
Yeah.
But she's playing the game. She knows how this goes.
She knows what she's at. So she hesitates when they're about to go in, remarking that she's never had a friend in America. He is the first. And so later, by the light of the city, she hums by the window. And when she stops, the lions in the nearby Central Park Zoo begin to roar.
Why are they standing there in the dark?
I have
They are in
no
the
idea.
pitch black dark.
Their relationship is so fucking weird. She throws up so many weird red flags at the beginning of this, and he's still like, you know what, doll? I got to marry you.
I don't know. He's pretty flaggy himself.
Sure. Yeah.
And then she tells him the story about, the cat people.
Yeah. So, yeah, but first she's like, sometimes she can even hear the panther in the park screaming like a woman. And then now he goes over. He admires a statue that she has in the living room of King John of Serbia, in which he holds a cat impaled on a sword over his head, which is super, super symbolic.
And Oliver is absolutely baffled by non-American culture. Not just baffled by it, but like the idea that there are cultures outside of the United States is like a new bit of information he's just been given.
Oh, sure. He's like, so who the fuck is this? And eventually, she eventually does. He's like, so why do you have this in your...
And he was like, so you came... Serbia? What state is that in?
He's like, why do you have this in your house? She's like, why the fuck do you guys have pictures of Abraham Lincoln or George Washington in your house? And he's like, touche, Russian lady.
And the point of the story, like one of the points of her story, is that everything was fine when they were worshiping a good Christian God, but when they stopped worshiping the good Christian God, they all of a sudden became evil. Her fear of being evil is maybe the least subtle part of the movie.
Right. Yeah, this whole section is taken from, I believe it's like one of the sort of core inspirations for the whole movie. It was a story called Ancient Sorceries by Algernon Blackwood. I've read it. It's really cool.
Now, that was what he originally wanted to just straight adapt that.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
Right. So yeah, it is, the sword with the cat over his head is meant to symbolize a conquest of the Mamelukes who conquered her village and turned the people there away from Christianity. They were essentially mercenaries from Turkey.
Well,
during the same period where like they were invading Transylvania and shit like that. It was essentially
Wallachia.
Wallachia. It was essentially they were Muslims invading Christian territory, and so when they came in, this is an extension of the Crusades essentially. And so they came in, they settled, and they turned the good Christian people of her village into witchy Satanists who. Once they came, I believe once they were liberated by King John, he killed all of the cat people except for a bunch of them who vanished into the mountains. And their legend haunts her village to this day.
Well, they sound like they're a lot more fun.
I know. It's like, don't threaten me with a good time, King John.
Yeah. And look, I have a note that says, Irena, I got to be honest, Oliver seems like a fucking dolt.
He is just like I described Ken Smith. He's just beige.
Yeah, is he good looking? Sure. But he seems dumb as a fucking post.
Yep. So yeah, they call it a night and happily make plans to see each other again tomorrow. So next we meet Alice, who works at a shipbuilding company for a character simply known as the Commodore.
Yeah, she's just one of the guys, one of the office boys.
Yeah, she's a right proper broad. They look over plans for a new boat when a cat starts making an awful racket.
Why is the cat in a fucking box?
Because that's what you did back in the day.
Just in a shoebox.
You poked a few holes in it. You kept your cat in a box, and if it made a lot of noise, it just has to wait.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah. So then a little cat emerges from the box on the table next to Oliver's drafting desk. And he said he bought the cat for a girl that he likes, and then he stuffs it back in the box. So apparently he met this woman yesterday. And then was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to saddle her with the care of a living creature.
I'm going to buy her a thing that is alive. Yeah. When your first instinct is like, hey, I really like that lady. What I'm going to do is go out and get her a cat. Not going to ask her if she likes cats. Not going to ask her if she wants one. I'm just going to bring it to her.
Right.
And then I'm going to tell her she has to marry me.
So he takes the box over to Irena and presents it to her. A fucking wild gift for a girl you just met. She's not super.
That's when you got to call it off. That's a red flag, ladies. That's when you got to call it off.
She's not super into it. The cat's not super into her. It hisses at her. And then she insists that cats don't really like her. So they go out to exchange it for another sort of animal at the pet store. And what I loved is when they go into this pet store, this place is a proper fucking menagerie. You could buy monkeys there.
It is insane. Thank God you cannot buy fucking monkeys in pet stores anymore.
I know. God, I can't wait to eat that monkey. When they arrive, all the animals just go fucking nuts at Irena's arrival. And so they want to exchange the kitten for a canary, which does not seem like an equal trade.
And so the pet store lady says they seem to know who's not right.
Ooh.
And this is obviously...
Even all these animals can smell that gay on you.
Yeah, they're like, don't leave us with the lesbian. Probably just kill us and feed us to a panther.
All right. So
like they do.
So here's the next weird thing that happens. That night, Oliver just falls asleep on Irena's couch by the fire while she sits there just watching him. Mm-hmm. And then they profess their love for one another. But then he remarks that they've never...
Not quite. He wakes up and says, "Do you love me?" And I thought,
are you playing those love games with me?
Your second date. You need to reel it in.
So it's unclear because he's also like, I realize we've also never kissed. So maybe they just jump cut. He's been courting her for a little while. I prefer to understand this scene as he goes, he meets her, he hangs out, he buys her a cat, he falls asleep on her couch and then says, let's get married. All in the span of like 24 days.
Yep. Proper love story.
So yeah. She has a dark past that haunts her and suggests that she carries the curse of those evil people purged by King John. And Oliver is just like, listen, babe, fuck that noise. And so
you have got a wild imagination. I love you. Well, no, her story is basically, I have been living in the closet, and the only way I can convince people that I'm not a lesbian is by living alone and avoiding people so I do not find myself in the situation that I am about to find myself in.
Yeah. Yeah. So they make plans to get married.
Yeah, why not?
Right. So everybody is impressed by Irena at their wedding party. And then they spot a woman off to a table at the side, just looking glum. And then
an urban sophisticate.
She comes over, speaks Serbian to Irena, which disturbs her. But then she
calls
says,
her out for being a lesbian.
Yeah, she says nothing else and leaves. And that woman is startling.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a look.
Well, she is, I think, intentionally designed to be different from the women at the table. She's wearing a very glamorous gown, like
she's
sparkly.
She's fucking Daughters of Darkness.
Yes.
Goddamn, what's her name? Delphine Seyrig.
Yep,
that's her name. So yeah,
but yeah, she's very cosmopolitan looking. You know, she's not mousy. She seems very assertive.
Oh yeah, she's got a real kind of fierce look about her, but also another just like alarmingly beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she kind of walks up, says some shit to her in Serbian, and Irena's like, "Oh goddamn, I want to hit that."
But then she crosses herself because she's like, I gotta keep it together, Irena. You're in public.
But it turns out that what she called her was sister. So now they go into their home together, Oliver and Irena.
And she hides in her gorgeous bedroom. This fucking apartment is insane.
This apartment is amazing. This all takes place like in a really sort of small area of uptown New York around Central Park. Central Park, I believe, is the sort of lower part of Central Park.
It's odd that they set it in New York at all.
Yeah.
There's no reason why it should be set in New York. It just is.
Yeah. I mean, they could. Well, I mean, I think just because of the proximity of the zoo to her apartment.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So as they go into their home, she asks him to be patient with her while she gets over this feeling that there's something evil in her, implying that they're totally not going to kick it on their wedding night. And this guy is a patient dude until he is not.
Look, I mean, I get it. At this point, Oliver sucks a lot, but at the same time, you do have to be a little bit like, okay, like, dude, if you've made it this far and you've still not had sex with her or kissed her and you fucking married her, like, you have made some real bad choices.
Yeah.
Or at best questionable choices, but like, you should probably not go forth with this.
Sure. In their apartment, they sleep in separate rooms. Irena slumps against the door as Oliver says goodnight. She can hear the big cats in the zoo just making all that noise.
I feel like living next to the zoo would be pretty loud.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they're just in there.
Oh, I mean, Jesus H. Christ. When I was in New York, I was just in a hotel room, I had the window open, and fuck, that city is loud as hell all goddamn day, all goddamn night.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no escape. At the zoo, the zookeeper cleans up near the leopard's cage while Irena returns. He insists
Guy's a
that the
real
cat is
jerk.
evil.
Real jerk this one is.
Yep. He recites from Revelation, as the beast rises from the sea. The beast that I saw was like a leopard.
That's how you know he's a real jerk.
Yeah, because the beast of Revelation also has like fucking 10 heads with 10 crowns and blasphemous names on each one of them. It's a real fucking wild conversation for strangers.
This thing's just a cat, just a fuzzy cat.
Yeah.
He's got a real nice fluffy looking tail.
This leopard is cool as hell.
Yeah. I mean, there is a point at which watching them pace in their cages it makes me very anxious.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's on purpose.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. At home, Irena works out some sketches, humming the tune that the zookeeper was singing. She then goes over to the bird's cage, tries to scoop it up in her hand, but it wigs out and dies.
All fun and games until the bird has a heart attack.
So she takes it out, puts it in a box, takes a box over to the zoo, and then she throws the bird in the leopard's cage.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, that's nice. She's getting the bird a little coffin. That seems to be nice. And then I'm like, oh, no, that's weird. Now you made it weird. I guess.
Yeah. Back at home, she explains to Oliver that the bird died of fright. She tries to dismiss the whole thing. Then she tells him that she threw the bird in the leopard's cage, and he suggests that she get some help because she believes what she's saying. And it's honestly pretty reasonable conclusion to come to. So they go find a psychiatrist.
This is also when she gives, I believe it's here that she gives this speech about like how she envies the other women she sees on the street because she perceives them to be free, and which is what she means by that is they're unconstrained by these sort of secrets and lies that she lives with.
Yeah.
That she is oppressed by. Yeah. But again, nobody ever thinks to be like, hey, Irena, is everything okay? You seem little tightly wound.
You do not talk about that stuff. This is the age of stoicism.
Well, Oliver does. He talks about it with everybody he fucking meets.
It's because Oliver sucks.
He really does.
No discretion whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not that the question is not, you seem distressed. Do you need to talk about things? Is there something I can do or we can do? It's, you're crazy and he literally says you need to be cured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, that was probably everybody's fucking fear when they were closeted in 1942 or whatever.
Yeah. So like, here, bite on this. I'm gonna put these electrodes to your head and we're gonna cure you.
Now, to be fair, that does work. Just FYI, everybody.
So
about that.
At the psychiatrist, she is put under hypnosis and goes through her fears. She wakes up having no memory of it. So he runs it down. Well,
he says, we'll find you the best psychiatrist. And honestly, Oliver finds the opposite of the best psychiatrist.
Also, the shot of her reciting like the story from during hypnosis. Oh, what a fucking shot. It's like it's a spotlight that is fucking tight on her face. As
there's
she
a lot of like, from this point on, like, I don't know if maybe they felt a little less restricted I'm going to assume this is probably shot sequentially. But they've reached a point where it's like, oh, we're just going to be artsy as hell from here on out.
Right. So she wakes up having no memory of it. So he tells her the cat women of her village can turn into big cats when their passions are aroused.
If you know what I mean.
Strong emotions like anger and jealousy and, well, you get the idea. If she turns into a cat, she'll be driven by evil to kill her lover. Dr. Judd dismisses it as childhood trauma, surrounding some childhood trauma related to her father's unexplained death in the forest.
And I would argue Oliver's not her lover.
Right. Here,
but also to be like, you know what? All that other stuff. Let's focus on getting you past all that. Let's just ignore the bad stuff in the back. Just a carp swimming around your ankles. Little Simpsons reference there, everybody. It's wild. It's wild just to see like this was a response to mental health crisis. Like, God, stop it. You're being so annoying.
Oh, I know. So now, Irena goes home and finds Alice there with Oliver. And they explain that Alice recommended Dr. Judd, which was a bad move on Oliver's part.
Jesus fucking Christ, Oliver, boundaries. All right?
For real. He's got a work wife.
Guess he'll be sleeping alone tonight again.
So Irena is understandably pissed. As he tries to smooth it over, he suggests that he told Alice everything, which probably includes the part where the two of them haven't fucked.
Not helping. No.
So now Alice pops over to the zoo in the night, paces is it Alice or did I mean Irena?
No, Irena goes to the zoo from here. She's like, fuck you guys. I'm out of here. And she grabs her purse and she goes to the zoo. And there's 3 cages now. And there are 3 animals, 3 cats, different cats in there, leopards, I think.
Also, she's wearing a big black fur coat, just like the leopard.
And they're pacing wildly. She's sort of walking back and forth. And then they cut away and they cut back and there's only 1 cat. The other cages are now empty. I'm imagining because they probably shot some of that at night without her there.
Yeah. So now Oliver catches her coming in and apologizes for spilling the tea to Alice, and they make up.
Again, I think it's really weird that they keep expressing their devotion to one another when he's obviously the cause of her distress. Like, you don't have to be a weird rapey psychiatrist to figure out, like, this relationship is a big source of stress for her.
Right.
And he's not helping by having another woman who he keeps going to tell all this shit to.
Sure. Yeah. So at work the next day, Oliver and Alice draft up a new boat. Oliver is distracted by it and fucking up. So they stop for a smoke break. Just what he needs to clear his head.
God, I want the smoke. They were smoking those cigarettes, and I was like, God, it's so great.
They talk about Irena, and it turns out that she hasn't been back to the psychiatrist since her first appointment.
Because he sucks.
Yeah. And this part blows me the fuck away.
Oh, is this when Alice decides to be wildly inappropriate?
No, before that. This is when Oliver is like, you know what? I'm a happy guy. I've never been sad before. This sucks.
Oliver, fuck you. God, shut up.
It's like, I don't like feeling sad. Like, I like to feel good.
Oh, God, fuck it. Look, this is what's wrong with American men. All of a sudden, they feel a tiny bit of sadness, and they're like, oh, my God, I'm the victim.
Yep.
I got married on my second date.
Yeah. He's in this marriage
Fucking
that he
idiots.
jumped into with a deeply disturbed young woman. And then Alice, just reading the room like a pro, is like, hey, you know what? I hate seeing you hurt. I love you. I love you so much. And he's like, well,
like, look, romantically. I mean, I love you romantically. Is this helping? I thought I was helping.
And he's like, he keeps talking about Irena. He's like, he's drawn to her in a weird way, but he doesn't really know her. That's the problem. Which should have thought of that guy.
Yeah. It's like you got married on your second date. Never really gave much thought to whether you were actually interested in her.
Right. So Irena goes back to the zoo and she spots the key in the lock.
Well, you missed the part where, because what he says, like, he's like, I don't even know what love is. And it's like, again, that might be part of the problem. But Alice is then like, oh, well, here's my definition of love. And she basically like describes their relationship. Like, she is a fucking tactless lady.
Oh, sure.
And
everybody in this movie has the fucking emotional maturity of a 10-year-old.
Seriously. And his reaction to her being like, I love you. He's basically just like, well, I obviously love you too, but there's nothing I can do about that. Well, come on.
I know. So yeah, Irena goes to the zoo. She spots the key in the lock for the leopard cage. So she grabs it and then brings it to the zookeeper.
This guy, again, he sucks at his job.
Yeah. What the fuck, guy? These are wild animals in a fucking city.
Who look very distressed.
They look like if they got out, they're going to kill everybody.
And honestly, I kind of wish that would happen. It's a different kind of movie, but that's the one RKO really wanted.
Right. And then what's this? Dr. Judd is there, and he compliments her on her restraint for not letting the animals loose.
Okay, listen. This is the first red flag from him. Because if she doesn't want to see him, that's her business.
Yeah.
You don't get to track her down and force her to see you just because you're a white man.
Yeah. So, he suspects that she could have opened the cage to symbolically free the beast. And then she explains that she didn't go back because she didn't think he understood her. And you know what? He didn't.
No, he sounds like a dangerous psychopath, honestly.
Yeah. So now by night, Oliver...
Good on you for not doing what I would have done, which is letting these wild animals loose on the world.
Yeah. By night, Oliver and Irena talk while she cleans up her art space. He's trying to broach the topic with her that he's not really feeling this marriage.
Yeah, he's like, we've been drifting apart. And I'm like, dude, you can't drift apart after 3 months.
Yeah, she won't let him in.
That's just being strangers.
Yeah, she won't let him in. And when he mentions Alice, she gets really tense. So he heads out to go back to work and get some shit done. But instead of going to work, he goes to a nearby coffee shop for some pie and a cup of joe.
Now, I understand. So they introduced the cleaning woman in this moment, and I understand why, because someone's going to have to tell Alice where he is.
Yeah.
But after he's like, I'm going to go around the corner to fucking Susie Wong's or whatever the hell the place is called and get some coffee, they just kind of linger on the cleaning woman as she's like brushing ashes off of her shirt. Like, just they hang there for like 15 seconds for no particular reason.
Nope.
I like it.
Yep. Now Alice is at the office. And again, the shot of this office is fucking cool as hell.
It's cool as hell because there's a drafting table in the center and they light it up and use it as the focal piece of the room. It looks so fucking cool.
Unbelievably cool. Cause it's like, again, like sharp edges, but there's like a soft diffuse nature to it.
And it also makes everything around it look pitch black.
It's so cool. It's just, goddamn, man, what a good looking movie this is.
Also, the cat's name is John Paul Jones, which I know is a reference to the Admiral or Corporal.
However,
or the fuck he
I'm
was,
going to assume that they're like, yeah, fucking bass player for Led Zeppelin, man.
Exactly.
Irena calls the office and Alice picks up, but she says nothing. She just fumes.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, he was going to go to the office and look who's at the fucking office again.
Yeah.
She can't get away from this lady.
Right. So, yeah, Alice shuts the lights out and leaves, and she talks to the cleaning lady who tells her that Oliver was just there and popped over for some coffee. So Alice heads over to meet them. And
Alice, fuck off. Jesus.
Goddamn, she's the fucking worst. Also, Irena is also out on the prowl. She passes the coffee shop, spots the two of them just chilling out, not doing anything bad necessarily, just hanging.
And what I do think is really cool is that Irena, from the beginning, when we first meet her, I think she's wearing like a very light colored outfit. She's sort of very coquettish, I guess, in a way. She's very girlish. And then she just starts wearing all black.
Yeah.
And she becomes a lot more like sort of stoic and a little more adult.
She's like the pacing leopard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So now Oliver starts to walk Alice home, but she breaks off, goes her own way. And then Irena, dressed in her leopard black fur coat, follows her in these moody, sharp contrast shots as she walks through the park, completely unaware.
And this is the coolest moment in the entire movie.
Completely unaware that she's being followed until she does realize that she's being followed.
But so this is also where we get the term Lewton bus, I believe.
This is it. Yeah. Cause it's like they're ratcheting up the tension. She starts to walk a little faster and then run. And then all of a sudden there's this like janky, noisy sound as the bus arrives.
Yeah. But the moment is cool because she's running along a stone wall and it's all dark except for when she gets right under the kind of the lamp post.
Yep.
And she can hear someone is following behind her. And then why this moment is so creepy is that all of a sudden she can't hear them anymore.
Yeah.
So she can hear like the loud sound of shoes behind her, like, clunky 1942 shoes. And then all of a sudden they're just gone. As though whatever it is no longer wearing shoes.
Yes. Yeah. Because now we pan across the park. We have shots of the park, shots of the leopards, cheetahs, a pen full of lambs.
For some reason, just keeping them at the zoo.
Yeah. And then at the zoo, the zookeeper finds a bunch of dead lambs in their pen. And then there's paw prints that track across the pen, eventually turning into the shoe prints of high heels. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. Raina, looking disturbed, catches a cab home where she finds Oliver waiting, and her clothes are dirty and she's exhausted. Oliver tries to apologize for trying to break up with her, but she just kind of lets it slide.
Now, look, here, maybe what Raina needs is just a little time to herself, because all she's got this dude fucking talking to her through the bathroom door all the time. She's got him out telling her, these coworkers, about all of her problems. She's got this fucking doctor stalking her.
Yeah.
Maybe she just needs a minute.
Just needs a minute in the tub, like Bosley Crowther said, to exercise her digits.
Bosley Crowther, you filthy, filthy man.
As she retreats to the bath and then tosses and turns in her bed while sleeping. So now she dreams of animated cats, and this scene's also fucking cool as hell.
I don't know if I like the cat, the animation part is a little.
I love the way they look, because they kind of look like the cat in House.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. She's also thinking about what Dr. Judd said about the death drive at the zoo. She dreams of King John and his gigantic metaphorical sword. There's also
I just looked at a picture of Bosley Crowther. He looks exactly like what you think he's going to look like.
Right. There's also shots of the key and the leopard cage. Symbolism has never been more phallic.
Yeah, but I feel like too this moment feels a little studio-y, being like, can you just make it a little more obvious?
Yeah. So she returns to the leopard cage in the morning and paces, and then heads over to the Metropolitan Museum, where Oliver and Alice just get rid of her while they look at models of ships.
Well, she also steals the fucking key from the leopard thing, because the guy leaves it in the cage again.
Yeah.
He should be fine.
You got to learn his lesson. Somehow. Unfortunately, it's going to take a fucking tragedy.
Yeah, then they go to the museum, and he just like tries to get rid of her so he can hang out with his real girlfriend.
Right. So Raina takes off and later follows Alice to her apartment building, where she goes in and catches up with her at the swimming pool, and just feral cats be freaking out at her approach.
At first I thought this was their office building. Like, first time I saw this, and I was like, why do they have a swimming pool at their office? New York. There's those New York types. No, I don't mean Jews.
Just, what is it? George St. Gaglin and Gil Faison.
Yes.
So as Alice is getting ready to jump in, she hears someone coming, but it's not Raina, or is it? A large shadow moves on the stairs, and we hear growling like a large cat approaching. Alice leaps into the pool while a leopard's shadow stalks the edge, just roaring. When the lights come on,
like, Alice, they're really good swimmers.
I've seen them swim, man.
Like, tigers can swim for like 10 miles or something.
Yeah. Yep. When the lights come on, it's only Raina standing by the edge of the pool, and she explains that she's only there looking for Oliver, and that she leaves having made a serious impression.
Yeah, and she knows it too, and this is why, like, this is, for the most part, I feel like this role could have been played by anybody. She doesn't bring a lot to it, but in this moment, you can see on Raina's face that she's very happy that she frightened her in this way. Like, it's
very satisfying. Look. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now Alice calls Dr. Judd to come over and talk to her. She asks if he knows anything about the cat people.
Yeah, fucking. Now here's another person talking to Dr. Judd about her.
Yeah, and he's like, what the fuck, you two? Alice explains that she believes it and thinks that Raina could turn into a cat because she's in love with Oliver. Just makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Dr. Judd decodes the fear, dismisses it, because of course he did, as superstition, but she's very serious. So he says he's going to go talk to Raina and get her side of the story.
Yeah. Is that what he does?
Yes. He jokes about protecting himself with silver bullets and all that, but also reveals that there's a sword in his cane. So he talks to Raina, and she tells it like it is. If her husband so much as kisses her, she'll turn into a cat and just tear him up, which is why they don't kick it. Dr. Judd thinks that she's just playing with him, and she thinks that he can't help her if he thinks that it's all in her head. So he threatens to have her put away in a hospital, which,
I mean,
based on what I know about New York psychiatric hospitals at the time, would be very, very bad.
She doesn't even want to be his patient. He just keeps bullying her into coming back.
Yeah, but also, I think this is the scene where he's like,
this is when he tries to kiss her.
He's like, if I kissed you, you'd be all right. I could turn you straight, lady.
Yeah, it's this is, I think, when we're supposed to get the impression that maybe Dr. Judd has something more going on. Like, some other motives. I think he sucks and should have his license taken away. He should probably be investigated for all this weird shit he's doing.
Yeah. That night, she makes dinner, tells Oliver that she's seeing Dr. Judd again, but he stops her and tells her that he loves Alice, and then it's all over. So she tells him whatever. She loves loneliness and tells him to get the fuck out, throwing herself melodramatically on a nearby sofa.
Now, what I love, though, is like, this is another one of those moments where probably resonates with people that, like, she's trying to justify this previous way of being as though she's telling herself, like, no, I should never have done this. This is why I should always be alone. Like, it's like, no, you're a lesbian and that's why you don't want to be in this relationship. You're just telling yourself this other weird lie.
Yeah.
In order to not have to confront that.
Yeah. So Oliver leaves and she draws her hand down the cushion, leaving behind claw marks.
And this is when Oliver's just like, well, I guess the decent thing to do is give you a divorce. It's like the decent thing to do would be to wait beyond the third date to get married.
No
you
shit.
Fucking weirdo.
No shit. At the coffee shop, Oliver and Alice meet with Dr. Judd, who tells him that he has two options: annul the marriage or have her put away. Apparently,
that's the patriarchy, y'all.
Apparently, it was against the law at the time to divorce an insane person.
I don't know if that's true. I think it probably it probably wouldn't have been approved.
Huh.
Like the divorce, they probably would have been like, no, you can't just abandon this person because they're, indigent or whatever. Like you can't just leave now because she's crazy.
Right.
Because I'm sure that's what a lot of people would have tried to do is like, I'm going to just dump them in a hospital and go, bye.
Sure. We'll go marry Alice.
Oh.
So he arranges a meeting that night so they can talk it out. Now they await at Irena's place, but she doesn't show up. So they call it a night. They go to leave, but Dr. Judd, who had sneakily stuffed his cane in the sofa earlier, goes back to get it and unlocks the door as he leaves.
Yeah, now he's doing all this other weird shit.
Yeah, he's going to bust up in on her
This guy's a lunatic.
while she least expects it. Alice and Oliver work at night in the office. They receive another one of Irena's calls where she doesn't say anything. Alice is reminded of the last time this happened at the office, and Irena chased her through the park and becomes frightened. So they leave. They find the office door locked. They come under attack by a leopard in the office. And you can't really see it. It kind of can.
Yeah.
It's just this shape in the darkness. Oliver realizes that it's her. He pulls a T-square off the wall, telling Irena to leave them. And in shadow, it looks like he's holding a cross, and the leopard
And he
goes
says,
away.
in the name of God, leave us in peace. Ugh. And it is the clunkiest moment of an otherwise like nearly flawless movie.
I think it's a cool shot though. Because when they cut to it, they cut to the shadow of him holding the cross. And it's neat looking. It's dumb.
But it looks cool. This is another studio note where they're like, can't you put something about Jesus in there too? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, man? Shut up.
Right. As they leave the building, they can smell Irena's perfume and see the rotating door still moving, though no one is there. So they call Dr. Judd from a bar and warn him that Irena might be on her way to see him. She does in fact show up, and he gets real close to her. And
he turns out to be a menacing rapist.
Puts the moves on her, and he kisses her, but she's completely unmoved by it. And then, this is my favorite shot in the entire movie. The light dims on her. It's like a tight close-up of her face, and then her eyes sparkle.
Yep.
And then Dr. Judd backs out of frame as she approaches. He draws his sword. We see him attacked in shadow by a large cat.
Who rips his throat out.
Oh, it's so rad. He gets what he deserved.
Yeah, he does. Not enough.
Not enough, because he comes back for the fucking sequel and an unrelated movie.
Yeah.
So Oliver and Alice arrive as the attack ends, and Irena hides out in shadows as they pass, nursing an injury to her shoulder.
She literally ducks behind a plant. I do like how she kind of comes stumbling out of the apartment, though.
Yeah.
And she has you can't see it yet, but she has a sword sticking out of her chest.
Yep. Because, the sword breaks.
Yep.
They enter.
And they go into the apartment. I love that the neighbor lady, Sue Ellen, just keeps trying to fiddle with the body.
Right.
Just a little comedy, keep it light.
They enter the apartment. They find Dr. Judd dead and half of his sword broken. She broke the phallic symbol.
Yeah.
So Irena goes over to the leopard cages in the foggy night. She uses the key to unlock the cage and stands by the open door. The cat waits a moment and then leaps at her, knocking her over and escaping into the night where it gets run over by a taxi.
Didn't like that.
Nope.
Don't care for that part.
Nope. It should have been free, man. Should have just been free to roam the park.
Born free.
Yeah. Alice and Oliver arrive to find Irena collapsed at the door of the open cage, dead. And then together, Alice and Oliver walk off into the night. Just your average heteronormative couple that isn't a threat to the status quo whatsoever.
And Oliver says she never lied to us. And I thought, I don't know. I think she might have lied about one thing.
A title card sees us out. But black sin hath betrayed to endless night. My world, both parts, and both parts must die. From Holy Sonnets 5 by John Donne. The end, baby.
I do like that Irena, the way she's laid out on the ground makes her look like an animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool.
Super cool.
Well, this movie fucking rules.
Fucking what a movie, man.
I mean, look, it is what is it now? 80 years old, this movie? More than that?
83 years old?
It's a fucking classic. Like, it is solid filmmaking. It's an example of, like, you know, good collaboration, great production. Like, everybody works together and they crank out this thing that is like a beautiful work of art.
Yeah, it's a truly sort of like it's different. I want to say new, but simply because that's the only word that comes to mind. Because
it's
in the
original.
30s,
it feels original.
In the 30s, they insisted on making these gothic horrors that took place in sort of like the 1800s in Europe somewhere. You know, this is a modern horror movie for a modern audience.
Yeah.
You know, it takes place in the modern age or in the then modern age. You know, it's a contemporary setting. It's very unique in that way. God,
it feels original. It feels fresh and it's different. And I think that was one of the things he brought to this cycle is he didn't want to make movies that were like what everybody had seen. And I mean, he's still drawing on sort of classic tropes. Like this is the whole premise of this movie is like, this is a woman who fears that there's something bad about her. There's something wicked in her. That is a universal fear. It's a universal story. And he just sort of wraps this, with Bodhi, and I don't want to give him all the credit, but he kind of wraps this interesting modern story around it that's clever, that sort of is a new twist on the animal thing. And like, it works. Yeah. It's cool. It's subtle, you know, especially at a time when fucking every movie is like a cudgel over your head with like how explicit it has to be.
Right. It's I mean, I don't really have much else to say beyond that, except I highly, highly recommend this movie. It is astonishing. It is amazing. I wish that these guys could have just fucking been a little bit more healthy about it so that we got more movies out of them. But as it exists in Hollywood, it's like this, like, I can't imagine what horror would have been like going into the 50s if like Lewton and Tourneur had sort of stuck it out together.
I mean, things change so much, though. Like, we get into the 50s, we get all the real Cold War fear.
Sure, like the Day the Earth Stood Still kind of sets the pace. The flying flying saucers really kind of changes the tone.
Yeah, and they're just from a different era that I don't know that would have. That just seems like it's not their thing. Right. I don't know, but they were all,
because like after Lewton dies, like he kind of takes it with him, and nothing since then is like this. I think that his general, not unfamiliarity, but just maybe unfamiliarity is the word, but unfamiliarity with horror works to his advantage because he's able to create something entirely unique out of that instead of doing like what all these other guys who had sort of grown up on pulp horror and classic gothic horror.
Well, it's like, what were we talking about? Just a Japanese movie we were talking about recently where like the dude who came into it was just like, knew nothing about these movies and was like, just going to make movies now. No, because he had made movies before. It was somebody like that though. It was like, you know what it is I'm thinking of? It's not that. It's the guy who made Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, and right.
Like he was just like, I don't know. I can try to make some video games if you want. And they're like, oh, well, what other games have you made? He's like, oh, none. Well, I bet I could do it.
And they're like, fine. We were making playing cards just up until this moment.
Yeah. We've been making playing cards for 70 years. We'll just give it a go. And he was like, great, I'll do my best for you.
They're like, what do you got? He's like, well, he's an Italian man. They're like, okay, go on.
That's weird, but okay, I'm listening. But yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's like you bring somebody fresh into this and they deliver something, you know, if they're smart enough and kind of humble. Like, I think that his humility plays a big role in this because he's not trying to overshadow anybody. He's not trying to live up to anything. He was a very driven person, but he wasn't trying to, like, you know, beat out anybody. He was like, I'm just going to do what we as a team can do, and it will be our thing, and we'll do our best, and it'll be great because we all work together.
It helped the stakes were reasonably low as well.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think he comes in at the back end of a boom, and it just, you know, and he's also not someone who's, I think, as well known. Like, if you said this to an average horror fan, like, what are you familiar with Val Lewton, or what's your favorite Val Lewton movie? They'd be like, who?
Right.
And I say to everybody, I know that not a lot people don't always love watching old movies. God, please go out and watch these fucking movies.
Oh yeah, don't fear black and white at all.
They are the reason why you have movies to love today, because these people were like, fuck it, we're making horror movies. Yeah. We're just going to do our best, everybody.
Let's put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's great. This is a fucking fantastic movie. I'm glad that we had an opportunity to do this one because I love this movie to death. And I hope you two do. You do as well, listener. So get on that shit.
Yes.
And you know, we invite you to engage with the content. Like, tell us what you think.
Yeah, does it feel super gay to you?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, with that done, where are we off to next?
Well, speaking of super gay, as you said, we are going to be watching Killer Condom on 99-cent rental next week. It's a bonkers movie. It has an actual killer condom in it. And then in 2 weeks, Bring Me the Axe. We're going to be wrapping up Pride Month with Curtis Harrington's What's the Matter with Helen?
Ooh, we're going out with a bang. We're going big camp.
Talk about how I don't much care for Shelley Winters.
All right. So we hope you enjoyed this one. Be back here next week for Killer Condom. It'll be a hoot, I'm sure. And then in 2, be back for What's the Matter with Helen, where we talk some shit about Shelley Winters. Well, you do. Me not so much.